Welcome to Beyond the To-Do List, a podcast about productivity. I'm your host, Eric Fisher, and this is a special Shortcast edition brought to you in partnership with Blinkist, the app that delivers key insights from top nonfiction books and podcasts in just 15 minutes. With Blinkist, you can explore more episodes like this one, covering topics like productivity, mindfulness, leadership, personal growth. And after listening to this episode, click the link in the show notes or go to Blinkist.com and start a free trial, and then search for Beyond the To-Do List to find the over 70 plus episodes of Beyond the To-Do List that are in there as shortcasts. You're gonna love them, just like this episode. Do you ever look at a creative genius like a brilliant singer, a groundbreaking artist, or a best-selling author and think they were just born with it? Maybe you've heard this famous fact that it takes 10,000 hours to become brilliant at anything. Or perhaps you'd love to create something amazing, but when you try, no magic comes? Today's Shortcast is going to bust the myths around creativity, and by doing so, reveal some simple, logical, and science-based insights into how creativity actually works that will help you get to where you want to be.
Too often we say, well, I've tried singing, I'm not good at it. Well, take a lesson, take 10 lessons, take 30 lessons, and then come back and tell me you're not good at it.
Alan Gannett is a marketing CEO and an expert on technology and creativity. His book, The Creative Curve, reveals the science and secrets behind achieving breakout success in any field. In this shortcast, Alan dispels the myth of the creative genius who works alone, instantly creating popular and important works as if by magic. We talk about how easy it can be for you to dismiss your own ability and potential, and some surprisingly simple ways you can begin to prove yourself wrong. Plus, as you'll hear, Alan explains the crucial way in which many people have misunderstood Malcolm Gladwell's 10,000-hour rule.
What Gladwell writes is that with 10,000 hours of practice, we can become good at anything. Well, there's two big issues. First, that's not what the paper says at all. The paper doesn't say it's 10,000 hours. There's not some magical cell in your brain that the second you hit 10,000 hours, you become great. Otherwise, we'd all be NASCAR drivers because we drive so much. What the research says is that it's 10,000 hours on average across people and on average across skills. Some skills take way more time. Some skills take way less. And the bigger problem with the 10,000 hours rule is that it nowhere says in Malcolm Gladwell's book the word deliberate. And it turns out that all of the research is focused on something called deliberate practice. Not just practice, but deliberate practice. And they're actually two very different things. Practice is just doing something over and over again, building your sort of muscle memory for it. It basically works to make something more automated, more subconscious. Deliberate practice is actually deliberately making something conscious. It's actually taking a big macro skill and breaking it down to the smallest component parts you can. So if you're a basketball player, it's like left-handed dribbling mid-court. And then you practice these tiny little skills over and over and over again with some sort of feedback system. And that is actually how you keep developing. Because if you just do normal practice, what happens is your brain makes things automated. It stops actually getting better at them. It just sort of makes things, subconscious. But when you do deliberate practice, you actually are able to keep getting better by breaking down these skills. And so that's a huge distinction in pedagogy that Malcolm Gladwell completely glosses over. And so the result is we have this notion that's really wrong that sort of infected our sort of business learning and how we talk about learning. And so we can all become great at things, but it takes a very specific type of practice and training to do it.
10,000 hours sounds like a big amount of time, and it scares people off when trying to start. But that idea of deliberate practice, when you break the whole task of learning down into smaller skills you can perfect, that does feel more accessible. Another thing that stops many of us in our creative tracks is doubt that we have any talent at all. Alan makes the point that it's not helpful to define ourselves that negatively, especially if we've never even started the process of trying to get better.
Here's my challenge for you, Eric, and for all your listeners. Type into YouTube, voice lessons before and after. You will be shocked at how good people get. One of the biggest things when people say, oh, well, I'm not a good singer, I'm not a good dancer. Well, have you ever taken a lesson? And this is one of those things that people have this idea that, well, you're either born with it or not. No. People take lessons in voice and singing. And you will see, like, go on YouTube, they literally go from terrible, from sounding like me to sounding amazing. I use in the book, I have an example of this guy, Jonathan Hardestry, who when he was 22, decided he wanted to become a world-class painter. And it just so happens that Jonathan was active on this web forum, and he created this thread that's like 250 pages long now, where he said, I'm going to paint every single day. I'm going to post a painting I do every single day. And it actually became one of the world's, he did it for 13 years, one of the world's first truly recorded examples of someone going from a complete novice, because he had never painted before, to becoming a world-class talent. And now he sells his painting for 5 figures, and he teaches people all around the world and all this stuff. But if you look at his first painting, it's terrible. It's atrocious. I mean, this is a guy who never painted till he was 22. So obviously it was terrible. And now he paints these like mesmerizing paintings.
I love Alan's logical approach. How do you expect to be brilliant at something when you've never had a single lesson? You'll be surprised the progress you can make with some schooling, deliberate practice, and perseverance. There's other important myths to bust here too. Creative geniuses don't come up with their greatest work by magic, first time. They make use of feedback, data, and iteration, and you can too. Plus, don't try to be a lone wolf. People around you play a crucial part in making your journey to success a lot easier.
One of the roles you see is that people typically are associated with someone else who's more successful than them, that sort of lends them a hand, lends them their reputation, lets them borrow their credibility. So you see this a lot in music, where people have opening acts on tour, right? Rascal Flatts had Taylor Swift open for them. Then Taylor Swift had Shawn Mendes open for her. They're all famous now, and Shawn Mendes has people open for him. And so you see this idea of sort of passing on reputation. You see this with academics. Typically, more senior researchers will take on junior researchers, and they'll give them credit on the paper and all this stuff to help them build their resume, to build their career. So that's incredibly important. We think about creativity as like a writer, like, goes to a forest and they find a cabin and they like write their great American novel, and they come out of the cabin when they write the end. No. What you actually find is that the people who are really good at creativity are also feedback obsessed. Writers have multiple readers. Their agent reads it, their editor reads it, their friends read it. They're constantly getting feedback. Movies famously actually consume huge amounts of data. Nowadays, not even post-production, but pre-production. They'll actually test movie concepts before green lighting them. We have a movie, Fatal Attraction, that did phenomenal in the box office, won all these Academy Awards. They completely redid the ending because it sucked when they did the test screenings. These things that we think of as these sort of very, linear processes from point A to B, it actually turns out the best creatives ingest lots and lots of data and feedback early on and take this very messy route from point A to B. Because inherently, if you spend all of your time doing something, you're not going to be the perfect representation of your audience. So you actually have to listen to them. Shocking, I know.
It's reassuring to think that some of the most successful books, films, and music of all time weren't just magicked out of thin air. More often than not, they were changed with audience feedback, and they were created with the support of people in the community around the main artists. What I like about Alan's explanation of what really makes creative success happen is that the methods are simple, logical, and possible. We can learn by taking lessons, improve by deliberate practice, and benefit from the support and feedback from others. It doesn't have to be hard. If you want to hear more shortcasts from beyond the to-do list, make sure to hit the follow button on the show page. That way you'll be notified when new episodes come out. I'm Eric Fisher. Thanks for listening to this shortcast of Beyond the To-Do List.